We have now entered the week I have been looking forward to and have been waiting on since the moment his name was announced. The week of Tyrone Power. To the Break Room Classic Film fans, it's tea time for a coffee break.
Can you get Cab Calloway on it?
Can you get it?
That's my pantywaist sugar.
I'm shocked the kind of gambling is going on in here.
By the way, how is your father?
The hidey-ho.
But I want to know, does it bother you?
Tyrone Power, Eve Arden, Mary Chevalier, Jane Wyman, Tony Randall, Merle Oberon, Lee Marvin, and today's garment on display, Blake from my Dominique Private Collection. What a dynamic group of a week, from the king of 20th Century Fox to Paris Imports. This is where I go into my witness for the prosecution conversation about discussing the film on TCM. I'm going to bypass the main course, 11:45 p.m. Central Time, and go straight for the appetizer as my upfront recommendation. The Razor's Edge, 1946, 2 p.m. Central Time. And stay hungry for the rest of the day because we have a lot of meals to devour. I mean, this is Tyrone Power. His main source library came from 20th Century Fox, his home for nearly the duration, including after his return from the service after World War II. He doesn't come to TCM on the scale as some of the other A-list names of the golden age of Hollywood. When he comes to TCM for 24 hours, you come early and stay late. My dessert recommendation, Nightmare Alley, 1947, a Tyrone Power film I am very vocal about and have posted my share of love for this film across my pages, which was recently put on Criterion DVD Blu-ray release, and I couldn't wait to get it. A Yank in the RAF, 1941. If we can't get Johnny Apollo with Power and Dorothy Lamour, A Yank in the RAF with Power opposite Betty Grable is fair enough and just as good, in my opinion and to my taste. And for those who love war and love stories, this one fits the bill. And fun fact, quote, some of the footage from the film was used in documentaries later about the Battle of Dunkirk. So if while you're watching you think, wait, haven't I? You have, laddie. And for the late night crowd, I'm even going to throw in Abandoned Ship, 1957. One of the few Power films I hadn't seen and hadn't even heard of until stumbling up on it about 8 or 9 years back, and it stayed on my mind all this time, so I can't wait to revisit that one myself. Eve Arden, Monday, August 23rd, one of everyone's favorite clapback dames. If you're new to classic cinema, welcome. Give yourself over to Stage Door, 1937. Not only will you be treating yourself to an array of talents all at once, Katharine Hepburn, Ginger Rogers, Gail Patrick, Lucille Ball, Eve Arden herself, Ann Miller, Adolphe Monsu, to name a few, you'll be submitting yourself to one of the essential watches of classic cinema. It's a step in the right direction. It's like the women for the theater crowd, and with a few men tossed into the cast. And while you'll find Eve often as the supportive friend or the only character with common sense to keep the rest of the cast together, wisecracking, fast-talking, and or all-knowing, in Our Miss Brooks, 1956, airing 7 p.m. Central Time, and my official pick for the day, you'll find Eve in a film all her own, not only as the lead, but in a role she made popular on radio before it made the transition to television in 1952. And by the mere mention of radio, as you may have guessed, it's a series I grew up on before I even saw or heard one episode or even the film. Again, thanks to my dad, who grew up on it in real time and shared those stories with me while I played catch-up on the series itself. If you're familiar with the radio or teleseries, all starring Eve Arden as the titled Miss Brooks, who has eyes for Mr. Boynton, but have yet to watch the film version, most all the characters reunite for the film, with the exception of one of the series' earliest leading characters, Jeff Chandler as Mr. Boynton, as Chandler had left the series in 1953, which ran on radio from 1948 to 1957, only leaving the role due to juggling between major film roles and radio became too much to maintain. Though we don't get JC, we do get Robert Rockwell, who took over the character upon Chandler's exit, carrying the role on radio, TV, and ultimately the film. With the real McCoys, Big Luke, Richard Crenna reprising his role as Walter Denton, a character he played from 1948 on radio to 1957 with the telly and later the film. Don't be tardy to class come Monday. Every little breeze seems to whisper Louise. And this Tuesday seems to spell Marie Chevalier. Pepe, Jessica, Love in the Afternoon, Gigi, Can, The Merry Widow, Love Me Tonight, The Love Parade, The Smiling Lieutenant, Fanny, Count Your Blessings. I'm recommending one of my favorite films. See the link to my Cinema Coffee blog piece on my love for this film and why below. Fanny, 1961. Once you watch this film, it truly speaks for itself. And while I've watched other adapts, including its original film trilogy, all I'd recommend, the 1961 version is still my favorite. And don't miss Can 1960, if only to watch another favorite dancer of mine I wish were more mainstream in the conversation of other dancers, like other favorite dancers of mine, Sid Charisse, Rita Hayworth, and Eleanor Powell, Juliette Prowse. Wednesday, August 25th, Jane Wyman. Quick, simple, and to the point. 2 films, must-watches. Three Guys Named Mike, 1951, where Jane has the hardship of having to choose between Howard Keel, Van Johnson, and Barry Sullivan. I wish I had such trouble. Though for me, I'd have chosen differently, no spoilers, I do understand the reason she chose the way she chose. It's an absolute light, heart-happy, pick-me-up, feel-good film, and I highly recommend. The second film, I won't be watching. Miracle in the Rain, 1956. Not because it isn't good, it's too personal. Though in a different context, and I don't want to give anything away. I think to fully get the experience of this film, it's best you go in cold. If you watch it and you get it, let me know what you think. Also co-starring Van Johnson. But whatever you do, don't miss this one. Boys Night Out, 1960. I was hoping and already planning my Cinema Coffee chats around this film when I saw Kim Novak was going to be featured as part of Summer Under the Stars, only not to see it on her day, but wait for it. Tony Randall, August 26, Thursday's honoree, and my recommend pick. And a can't miss. Headline by Kim Novak and James Garner, Swoon. It's a fun Metrocolor sex comedy you can always repeat watch. So bring your coffee, your latte, your chai, or cappuccino. It's a keeper. Though if my dad had a say, it would be Tony Randall and Debbie Reynolds in The Mating Game, which is a film he has in his own physical media library and enjoys watching. 2 being shown on Randall's Summer Under the Stars Day at 9 p.m. Central Time. Friday's feature, August 27th, Merle Oberon. For those only familiar with Oberon in Wuthering Heights, you've got some choices. Lydia, 1941, The Scarlet Pimpernel, 1934, The Divorce of Lady X, 1938, which I've recommended before. Berlin Express, 1948. Put that one down on your watch list. And for anyone wanting to catch the remake of One Way Passage from 1932 starring Kay Francis and William Powell, shown on Kay's Summer Under the Stars earlier this month, catch Oberon and George Brent in Till We Meet Again, 1940. However, my pick, Night Song, 1947, co-starring Oberon with Dana Andrews, which airs 1:15 p.m. Central Time. So if you don't work from home, you may need to set your DVR for that one that day. The last full week ends off with one of the wild ones, Lee Marvin, Saturday, August 28th. Being a Brandoette, I'd naturally suggest the wild one if unseen, which I admit, I was and am still a little shocked to learn there are fans of both Brando and Marvin's who haven't yet seen the film. So maybe Saturday's matinee will solve that at 12:30 p.m. Central Time. And if you follow me on Twitter, visit my moments, click on the 3 dots on the top of my profile, scroll down to Nobody Tells Me What to Do, and follow along watching the film with one of my live tweet sessions on the film, or visit my blog piece included in my Marlon Brando series on the film, both linked below. However, my official Lee Marvin pick, The Professionals, Without a doubt, 1966. While it would be hard for me to imagine any hardcore cinephile or veteran film watcher having not seen this one yet, I'm not judging you if you haven't. Directed by Richard Brooks, with a cast that includes Woody Strode and Jack Palance, along with Claudia Cardinelli, Burt Lancaster, Lee Marvin, Robert Ryan, and Ralph Bellamy, it's a must-watch. My main takeaway from this film was how Woody Strode was included in the storyline, not an accessory. The storyline, the setting, the scope, it's a near-perfect Western. And don't let that word turn you away, though I can't imagine anyone not loving Westerns, a lifelong lover myself. The Professionals has the quality to win you over no matter what type genre you favor. It holds you over to the end, which is where we've come to, as I'll be here next Friday for our last 3 days of Summer Under the Stars Recommends. Hope you've enjoyed at least some of my recommends so far. If so, stop by my @Dominique Review Twitter profile page or comment below and let me know what you think. Until then, be safe, be well, stay healthy, stay smart, and I'll see you next time. I'll be in tow.
Can you get Cab Calloway on it?
That's
my patty waist sugar.
I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in here.
By the way, how is your father?
The hidey hole.
But I want to know, does it bother you?